coming up soon. This presentation will specifically be photography focused. And the first part will be a short presentation of my work. This sort of opportunity led me to actually putting all my work together finally. So for a long time, I've just been kind of sitting on work, not really releasing it. I am a full-time wedding photographer, and that really, it took up most of my time and energy. So around the time that this all happened, obviously a lot of my work got moved along. And so I've had a lot of extra space in my head to sort of put all this together. And yeah, then the second part, I'm going to do a short demo where we're talking through sort of making a photograph, what we're looking for, sort of walking into a scene. And yeah, like sort of common mistakes and stuff that I see with folks. It will be very basic. There won't be any highly technical information going on. So you can use any of the applied skills here with your cell phone. That's sort of the hope. So yeah, we could, and then the last part will be a Q&A. So anyone who has questions about anything, my work or just photography in general, happy to answer any questions, and you can just leave it in the chat and I'll sort of address them all at the end. So yeah, I'm gonna switch my screen over here. Give me 1 second. All right, I'm gonna pull up the website. So again, I think it might be a little less pixely if you actually physically go to the website, but I think that if you wanna watch here, that'll also be fine. All right, so this is my website. And if you go to the home screen, you click on wedding portraits, that's where I'm gonna start today. All right. So yeah, so in my normal life, I'm a wedding photographer, full-time, year-round. And so I've been shooting weddings for almost 15 years now. And about 10 years ago, I wanted to really bring myself back sort of into the process. When I shoot weddings, you know, we're usually taking 5, 6, 7,000 pictures. So it's a ton of photos moving at a really fast pace. So I brought a big wooden camera that you'll see later on when we do the photo demo, to sort of slow down and to make one picture of each of my couples. And so that's what you're seeing here. So all of these are just one picture from the day. And it sort of goes back to, like, you know, older times where the photographer would just show up, take the one photo, and that's sort of all you would get. I think here, you know, we really see the people for who they are a little more. Whereas in normal wedding photography, everything is very stylized. It's very, you know, slick. And here, I think, you know, because of the slowness of the camera and the medium itself, that it just allows you to sit with the people a little more and look at them in a different way. So yeah, it's sort of, you know, sometimes I try to mix it up. This one here is a ceremony. I think we did wind up doing 2 this day just because we did a pop-up wedding in Boston Commons, so was a little different for us. I'm just gonna make sure we're still good here. Yep, okay. Yeah, just a few more here. And I really try to mix them up. I try to play with, you know, the depth or the couple itself. Everyone, you know, has their own way of being together. And so I try to really allow that to come through the picture without me really over directing the situation necessarily. And so these are all on an 8x10 piece of film, which is the size of a piece of paper. So it's an all analog process. And yeah, it's really a different thing for everyone. You know, most people aren't photographed with a big wooden camera too often. All right, I'm gonna double check comments. How are we doing over here? Doing good, doing good. I'm gonna come back over this way. And so the next body of work I'm gonna go through quickly is currently called the New Hampshire Project. It's a project I've actually been working on since 2008, my senior year of college here at Lesley University in Cambridge, which I also now teach at. So yeah, let's run through these. So again, these are all mostly 8x10 or 4x5 large format images. And so I was really interested in, you know, the land, the people there, the sort of connection to that, as well as this New Hampshire is just sort of its own thing. I think anyone who's ever been there or is from there or lives in New England knows that people from New Hampshire sort of have a different way of being. So yeah, these are all different people I've photographed over the years. The bulk of the work was made in that year time frame from 2008 to 2009. But now as I go back more as a visitor and less as someone who lives there, you know, I kind of find more and more each time we go back. And if you have any questions about these, feel free to leave it in the comments. I'm happy to address anything later on. So this is a more recent one. This was made like 5 years ago. And a lot of this is photographing strangers. This is not the case. This is a friend of mine and his mom who might be on right now. And yeah, just a lot of driving around, just sort of finding things, finding the light, and just waiting for something to sort of hit me, you know, to stop and want to make that photograph. Other pictures like this one, I sort of sought out more and scheduled, you know, time with people. So it all just depends on what I'm after. And yeah, you know, in a typical time, I would spend a lot more time sort of sitting and talking with each photo, but we're limited in time frame here. So if anyone does have any questions about anything, yeah, feel free to shoot me a message afterwards. This is actually made like, this is probably one of the more recent images. I think this was 3 years ago up at Fun Spot in New Hampshire. Again, another Fun Spot one, though this was made in 2009. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff going on in New Hampshire to photograph. Oh, that one's there twice. I'll fix that later. And it was interesting too, because in 2008, you know, it was the election time. So interesting to see it sort of go in and out of phases with that. Yeah, different major cultural events I focus on. This is like the 4th of July show and over Wolfboro Harbor. It's like one of the busiest times on the lake in the year. And the Lakes region definitely has been more of interest the past few years, probably because I've been spending more time up there. So yeah, I'm gonna run through, let me check in with Chad over here. How we doing? Doing good, doing good. All right, I'm gonna move it back over. We're gonna go for now a all digital project. So I do work in a variety of camera mediums, so it's not just analog. I do prefer to work in long form documentary series. So this is a project where I photograph someone who's a friend of mine that I went to high school with, and he played college football, and then afterwards went to a couple different countries in Europe. But I went to Norway with him for 2 weeks and stayed with him to make all these photos here. So just looking at sort of, you know, what it means to go to another country to sort of play a sport that clearly that country does not know much about. Each team, just a little backstory, each team can hire 3 Americans on their team. I believe it's 3, it might be 2. Jake will probably correct me either way, he's in the chat. And yeah, they bring them over to teach them the game, show them the culture of it. And it's, you know, they give you an apartment, they give you a small stipend, a cell phone, and a gym membership, and sort of send, you know, say, here's the team, you know, you coach them, you play with them. And then I think they were also coaching a younger team as well. So there's a lot of kind of hanging out in the apartment, going to the gym, just back in, and then practice, like just on repeat, you know, that's sort of the day. I happened to be there during some more of the festive times of the year. So we went out and they were in a parade as well. So that's some of these images here. And yeah, it rained almost the whole time I was there, but that's to be expected in Norway. Some of this work was shown at Aviary Gallery many years ago, but I never had a place for it to live. So I'm very happy that it's now on the website. And just sort of looking for iconography, you know, from America that sort of plays in here. And then after Norway, I actually went to Marist College, where he now coaches still to this day. And this is Marist here, or a view from near his apartment in Marist. And yeah, they lived together with a bunch of other coaches at the time. This is 6 years ago now, so things have moved on since then. But yeah, just kind of looking at how the coaches all form this sort of sense of camaraderie, how they all sort of play this role in supporting their kids and supporting the players to be their best selves. Yeah, Jake and I had a nice conversation about this work earlier today because he hadn't seen it in a while. So yeah, you never know, there could be more pictures to come. Yeah, really try to blend like portraiture and candid moments and scenes to just sort of give you the whole sense of like what's going on, what it's about. So yeah, we're almost through it here. A lot of pictures in this one. It took about probably 5,000 photos for the whole project. And I think there's about 45 here. So, you know, really editing it down, finding those essential images that speak to it, speak to the project in a larger sense. And yeah, this happened to be a homecoming day where it was like one of their biggest years where they had won a ton of games. So this was like a really big game for them. So yeah, a lot of great opportunity here for some images at the end. All right. All right, so I'll go through one more and then we'll do the lighting demo and then I'll answer any questions. So last one is going to be a little more focused around this moment. And I am, yeah, let me talk about this a little bit. So yeah, this wasn't like a, most of the work that I make is not like a decision that I make necessarily. It's like a feeling that I have to go towards. Like if I don't make it, I won't feel right. So yeah, my usual workload is pretty heavy. I also have a partner that owns her own business and we work together on a lot of stuff. So it's hard to find the time to, you know, want to get out there and make work when you're constantly sort of doing that anyway. But, you know, now that I have this free time, I really just found myself gravitated back towards the camera and wanting to get out there and just respond and just feel what's going on. So yeah, the first day I went out, I made this photograph. I went on a over 2 hour walk just with the camera, and this was digital as well. But a different kind of digital camera that sort of mimics the film camera. So I really love the way that it feels. I'll show it to you later on when we take a picture. But yeah, I walked around for a couple hours, wasn't really finding much, was looking at everyone, looking at them, just not really feeling it, and came back around almost to home. And me and this guy locked eyes, and I just immediately knew, you know, just had a feeling. And I walked right over and we started talking. And I made about 3 pictures of him. We had a little conversation about breathing through the mask with the beard because I haven't shaved since this has started, and clearly he has quite the beard there. So that was sort of my in with him. But he was super nice. I see him all the time walking, so it was nice to connect with him. This is at Davis Square Donuts, and I go there all the time, and I chat with the person behind the counter all the time. So I finally got, you know, I was just in there one day recently when they reopened and was like, hey, can I make a photograph of you? Like, and I'm really interested in these sort of plastic structures that keep popping up in front of things and in front of people. So I'm going to kind of keep focusing on that. And all the signage really interests me, and sort of the way that it ages over time too. Yeah, video chatting, you know, just these sort of moments from life now where it's like, oh yeah, this is like, okay, yeah, this is what it is right now. I find the playgrounds that are all caged up to be a little odd. And yeah, just more signage here. This is Meg, just taking a little moment. Oh yes, Bijou might make a few appearances, so I apologize for that. That's our cat. This was the day that the flight took place a couple weeks ago. So I didn't even know that was happening. And I looked out the window and all these guys had their phones out, kind of looking up at the sky. Just noticing windows, what's going on inside, life still going on. This is our local liquor store. Talk to this guy all the time. He's a nice guy. More playgrounds. If you have a minute at some point, check this out. I'm not sure who wrote it, but it was scotch taped to the Cambridge Public Library. Very interesting. I think this is just up to make people laugh. It worked on me at least. Different liquor store, more sort of coverings there. More sort of, haven't seen gas at $2 in a while. And one more shot from the playground. So yeah, there's a lot more to come. Hoping to post more on Instagram. I haven't downloaded my memory card in a couple weeks, so probably will be a lot of new stuff coming soon. So yeah, that's most of my work there. There are a few other projects here. And then yeah, some other work that I added that is more commercial based. So you're welcome to look at that as well. And if you want to see my wedding photography, there's a link to it at the bottom there. So yeah. Let me switch screens back here. Give me 1 second. Stop the screen share. Perfect. All right, let me just wait for this screen to come back so I can make sure that we're seeing everything here. I see some questions coming up. I appreciate that. I'm going to respond to all of them just very shortly. I'm going to start with this demo first, and then I'm going to get back to it. So let me adjust the camera here. Oh yes, Bizu is here. Hello, Bizu. Okay, so the idea here is I want to just talk through sort of the process of looking at light and making a decision to make an image. I think we all have phones now, we're all out there and we see something and it's like, I want that. And I think a lot of people, at least from what I see, especially at weddings, people just walk up and they just walk up and just start pressing the button. Why far out, no composition, no lighting, and that's completely fine. I get that. But if you're looking for just one step further, I'm hoping that what I offer here can help you out with that. So I have a light on right now, so I'm going to turn that off. It's a little dark in here, don't worry. Okay, so behind me here, let me turn it on for 1 second while I show you the scene. Okay, so behind me here, I just set up a little scene. So this is my big wooden camera that I use for pictures. I have another camera here, and I tried to create some depth with some other cameras just to create some interest. Now, aside from being drawn to wanting to photograph something, you have to look at the light. During the day here in the kitchen, I know that the sun starts here and it moves all the way over here. And that changes throughout the year, of course, but generally that's what's going to happen. So right now I set up the scene that we're getting towards the end of the day, but the light is still coming in from this direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture and I'm going to show you how most people sort of walk up to it. I'm going to be using a really big camera here. That's my normal professional camera, but like I said, these concepts can be applied to any camera. It doesn't matter what you use. Okay, so most people say, oh, this is really cool. Look at this cool camera. I want to take a picture. You just pull up and you just press the button. You just wide angle, no thought, standing up straight. That's what it is. So let me switch over here. I'm going to be switching back and forth between this live scene and my capture. So bear with me here while I do that. All right. So this is my camera software. So here you see it's a wide angle like most iPhones or whatever phone you use. It's just a wide lens. And so I just walked over, didn't think about it, and just pressed the button. You know, I'm going to turn off the light and I'm going to show it to you one more time because that light's filling in a lot for us right now. So I'm coming in. It's getting moody in here. Let's check it out. There we go. Okay. So this is our starting point right now. So I'm going to switch back over and I'm going to give you a little, I'm going to show you what I do here. Give me 1 second. Stop the share. Okay, we're back. All right, so in this scenario, the first thing we want to look at is where the light's coming in. And so when you approach a subject, you want to be sort of moving with the light. So you can see my hand, right? It's like creating a shadow here. So that's where the light is. So it's not to say that every picture should be standing with the light behind you necessarily, but it's a really great place to start. We're starting to lose the light, so I'm just going to make some adjustments in camera here. All right, so instead of standing up tall, and taking the picture like this, then instead, let's think about like moving into it a little more. And I'm just going to still shoot at wide angle, just like you would on your phone. And then I'm going to shoot one more that's a little closer, which you can use the sort of 2x zoom on your phone, which a lot of people have now. So I'm going to just pretend like we have that available to us. And look, I'm down, lower. I'm looking into the subject. It's a little, I'm framing it up so that the frame is full. It's not just chaos. It makes sense. It draws your eye somewhere. These are all things you want to try to consider while you're doing this. Cool, so I'm going to switch over to the other photograph now, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. Screen share, capture one, cool. Okay, so let's go back. This was our original image, wide angle. Cool, yeah, cool, camera's cool, sure, but we don't really know what's going on here. So then I came down a little bit. This is still wide angle, right? So yeah, we're closer, we're in the subject, we sort of see what's going on, but it is still a little busy in my opinion. But we have filled the frame at least. So, the original image, the composition, there is no composition. It's just a picture. In this image, we're getting closer. And then here, I've zoomed in a little more and I've tried to arrange things in such a way that there creates a little more interest in drama in the composition. So the edges are, I've pushed everything almost to the edges and filled it with the subject that we're focused on here. Now I'm going to stop the screen share again. Let me check my comments real quick. Cool, still good here. I'm going to check back over. So now let me just show you one other thing that people do here. So instead of approaching it from that sort of angle, you can also, shoot into the light in a way. So let me see if I have enough light to still do this. Give me 1 second here. I think I might. And again, I'm zooming in a lot closer than before. Let me check my file. And I'm going to do one more. Cool. Yep, I'm just going to take one more. Give me 1 second here. Actually, I'm liking this part. Let's go with this. All right, let me make sure those came in. Perfect. All right. I'm going to switch over my screen share. We're almost there. All right. Cool. So for this last image here, instead of shooting with the light, I shot sort of into the light a little more and let it, what's known as like raking over the actual subject. So you can see all the texture in the sort of top of it. Again, this is, if you have a modern cell phone with a zoom function that is optical, not digital. So if you have one of the newer iPhones, you can click that 2x button and that'll give you some of this, or portrait mode as a lot of people like to refer to it at this point. So yeah, so just to revisit, this was the sort of closer image I used. And again, I shot with the light's coming from the window and hitting the subject. So always consider which direction the light's coming from. And then in this one, instead of shooting with the light, I sort of moved around it and used the light to just show some of the texture and create some contrast on the subject. All right, I'm going to switch back over to me now. Perfect. All right, I'm going to scroll through questions here. If anyone has any additional questions about anything at all, just let me know. I'm happy to answer anything at all. Oh yeah, Lindsay, no problem on aviary. All right. First question, Colleen, are these all shot with available light or do you ever bring lights with you? So the majority of the work on my website is natural light. Occasionally I will bring extra lighting along, but I try to use available light as much as possible, just to, I feel as though it makes you feel more like you're there than bringing in extra lighting. But for like the picture of the guy like this that had the live free or die tattoo, that was lit just a little bit, just to sort of fill in so you could really see the tattoo, because that's what I wanted to highlight on him. So yeah, it really depends. With weddings in general, I bring lighting just because I have to. But most of the 8x10s, with the exception of a few, were made without lighting. Second question, are most of your projects shot on film, and what influences your decision to shoot analog or digital? Yeah, it's hard to say. I'd say like it's kind of like half and half these days. I really enjoy right now, I'm working with digital, and I'm using this camera here, which is a Leica. It's a rangefinder, and so it looks like a film camera, but it operates, but it's actually a digital camera. It's all manual, everything's manual, so that's what I really like about it. It sort of mimics the 8x10, which is behind me here. And yeah, I think it's just a matter of subject. Like right now I'm walking around a lot, so I think that this makes a lot more sense for me than the 8x10. And yeah, I think, yeah, for the project with Jake in Norway and on the football team, I was using this digital camera and another one. And that again was a matter of, you know, I knew I was going to be there for 2 weeks, and I wanted to make sure that what I was getting, I knew I had in a sense. With film, you know, you shoot it, you don't really know what's going to come out necessarily every time. So sometimes it's more comfortable on a sort of traveling project to, you know, want to shoot digitally for that reason. All right, let's see, who else do we have here? Scrolling down. All right, no more questions. You sure? Anyone else out there with questions for me? I know my feed's getting a little pixelated here. Well, yeah, it looks like we're pretty good on questions. If anyone does have any additional questions for me about process, about my own work or otherwise, just let me know. And you could send me a message at any point, happy to respond. Oh. Oh, did I? Okay, we're back. There we go. It froze up on me for a second. So yeah, I guess that's it for me for now. Unless anyone has additional questions, I'll give everyone a couple more minutes here. Oh, one more. Who is your biggest photographic influence? That's so hard. I have a couple hundred photo books in the other room. Yeah, I guess I would say photographers like that I admire would be someone like Mary Ellen Mark. She just had a sort of tenacity about the way she created photographs that I think just you don't see too often anymore. I'm very inspired by a lot of my friends, you know, and their work and sort of bouncing stuff off them. So yeah, it's really hard to say. Oh, Stella, which Leica? It's the M240. It's the one that came out in 2012, I want to say. So I'm still rocking the old one, but I like it. I like it. So yeah, Eric, yeah, I guess in terms of lighting, you know, it's really about really look at the light and think about where it's coming from. You know, on a really sunny day, especially when the light is really high, it's tough to sort of create an interesting image. Everything's very contrasty. The shadows are really rough. I would, yeah, try to find shade on those days. If the sun is lower in the sky, though, you can also try shooting into the light. That's super helpful. Oh, that's okay, no problem. And yeah, I think, for me, I did a demo over here, and I'll repost the video, so you're welcome to check it out again. And yeah, if you have any specific questions, feel free to shoot me a message. Oh, here we go. Christine, have you noticed a difference in the way folks are responding to you asking to take their photograph since the COVID crisis? Yeah, it's an interesting process, that's for sure. I have had a lot of trouble. I don't want to say trouble. I'd say I'm very aware of the moment and how everyone's feeling. And I think it's a bit of a challenge to find people that are sort of wanting to participate, I guess. But I really do feel it's this weird thing where I'm just walking and I see someone, and if they look at me and we look at each other and there's like a mutual thing that happens, it just sort of, I don't know, it's such a gut feeling that it's hard to speak to it. But I did, the other day, I went out to make some photographs, and I saw this guy sitting at a schoolyard in this very interesting light. I haven't posted this photo yet. So I meandered around and was like, I don't know. You have to work up the courage to sort of go over there and talk to a stranger. And so I always try to find a way in. I try to make a joke, or like with the guy with the beard, I was like, oh, I got a beard, try to find some sort of relatability. I don't usually know what I say half the time. I just kind of try something and hope for the best. And yeah, I haven't had too many people say no yet, but I did see a young woman that was wearing gloves and this huge mask with a hood over her head, and she had clear plastic gloves on, and she was wearing this bag that had an apocalyptic video game on it. And I was very drawn to it, and it was right after I made the other picture, so I was feeling confident. So I walked over, and she had her ear pods in, and I was like, oh, hey, like, what's going on? And she almost ran down the street. So it's definitely I just sort of stood there laughing at myself, like, what am I thinking, talking to somebody who's sort of this protected, like, they clearly don't want to stop, they want to go home. So yeah, it's definitely been an interesting challenge. I would like to schedule more portraits than finding people the whole time, because I do feel like it's a bit of it's a bit tough, to make it all strangers all the time. Yeah, I think just, being nice to people and just being genuine. I also show, now it's on my Instagram and on my website, so I just pull it up and I say, hey, I'm working on this project. And I show them my phone and say, like, this is what I'm doing. And then they can have a visual confirmation, like, oh, okay, you're not a joke, or you're not just some guy, or you're not trying to make fun of me. So yeah, it's an interesting process. Let me see what else we got here. Any tips for getting into photography and how to select a camera? Yeah, I'd say, a lot of people really want to focus on the camera body. So the actual, this part of the camera, this thing. And it's really all about this thing. The lens matters more than anything. So my recommendation would be, if you have a budget, find a camera that's a few years old and spend more money on the lens than you do on the camera, because that's what's going to make the difference for sure. It's all about price point too. So it's all like, okay, I want to spend X amount of dollars. What is the best option within that price range? And there's so many sort of smaller price ranges now. So if anyone needs any help finding a camera, more than happy to help you out. But Sony is and Fuji are sort of the best not budget, I would say, like, I don't even know, prosumer grade camera, I guess is what you would want to call it. And let's see, what else we got here? Logan, personal versus professional projects. Yeah, I think for a long time it was professional, just all the time, but I was making so much work in between that I've just been sitting on. So yeah, I just been digging through just so many pictures that I put into a folder and just never, I'll do something with this later. So yeah, this website will be updated with a lot more content over time, and you can kind of keep up with that on Instagram if you'd like. But yeah, it's definitely a hard thing to juggle, and I'm finding more and more that I'm finding ways to make personal projects within the paid work. So I have a few like wedding projects that I'm working on outside of the 8x10s that are just moments from the day that I find interesting or sort of repeated over and over again are very interesting. All right, guys. Well, yeah, do we have any other questions here? I think we're pretty good. Well, yeah, I really appreciate everyone stopping by and asking questions and checking out the work. Please, yeah, feel free to share it with anyone you'd like. And yeah, as you can see, I do work with some small businesses locally on sort of branding images, and I love doing that kind of work too. So yeah, feel free to keep me in mind for any projects at all moving forward. I'm gonna sit here for one more minute and just make sure, oh, one more, here we go. Jake, apart from the COVID project, anything planned for the near future that you might finally be able to tackle? Maybe something that you'd always wanted to do. Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, there's some projects that I want to do that I think I've been resistant to doing and that I'm now feeling ready to take on. Some of those might involve board game stores. I spent some time in those stores for a while, so those interest me, but I haven't quite figured out how to go about that project yet. But I'm feeling a lot less nervous, I think, now getting back to a daily art practice, and really noticing how much better I feel making every day. I recently read a book that it was a kind of a bad, I don't know, not a bad title, but a silly title that's provocative, called Your Art Will Save Your Life. And there's the gist of it is that if you're a creative person and you're not making something all the time, that you're not taking care of yourself. And I think through all the 2.5 months I've been sort of, quarantined here, that I'm really discovering how true that is for myself. And I think I'm moving forward, will be respecting that part of the process a lot more. So yeah, thanks for that question, Jake. That was a good one. All right, I'll give everyone one more minute because every time I say that, someone seems to type something. Well, yeah, while we wait here, book link. Oh, I don't have a book yet, but I'm working on it. I think, yeah, I am thinking about some zines. I think zines would be fun, especially for this project, and maybe linking up with some nonprofits and sort of doing some sort of donation strategy there, where I do, give most of the proceeds to some sort of nonprofit that would speak, to this moment, food shelter locally or something like that. Need to do more research on that, but yeah, books are definitely in the future, hopefully. So yeah, I think I'll call it here. I just want to say one more time, thanks to everyone at the Somerville Arts Council for having me. Aritza found my work there on Instagram and, hit me up to do this. And I really appreciate the opportunity. It really sort of sparked me to get this website that I've been talking about for over 10 years together. And yeah, it's really been helpful, to just really come back and take it all as seriously as I really want to. And just to say one more time, next week on June 2nd and June 4th, there will be 2 more of these at-home series. So please keep up with the Somerville Arts Council, who has posted multiple times in the chat here. And yeah, take a look at those, and I'm sure there'll be more fun ones in the future. So yeah, thanks again, everyone, for stopping by. And yeah, please send me any messages you have, any questions that you didn't feel comfortable asking here. All right, have a good night, everyone.